welcome to day 28 of Vlogtober. My name is Tracy and I am the host of Knitting on the Float. We are getting near the end of October. You can tell that because I've put lipstick on. I'm prepping my Halloween costume. We're going to a Halloween party tomorrow night and I've got my vampire teeth out. I found them, but I was trying to find a lipstick that worked best with them. So got it on right now. I think I threw away, I had a color called Vampira, and unfortunately when we moved I threw it away because you can't keep lipstick forever. Anyway, I've got some lipstick on today. Doesn't happen very often. Today we will be traveling from Toronto to South Dakota. I was thinking we were only going to get to Kentucky, but then when I started putting the video into the iMovie thing to edit, I realized that we should probably get a little bit further. So we're going to go Toronto to South Dakota with a little bit of a break in between, and I hope that you enjoy today's footage as we do a little bit of traveling. Hello, it is a week since I saw you last. Happy September. Today is September 7th, and where are we, Isaac?
Approaching Windsor, Ontario.
We are coming to Windsor, and what's so important about Windsor?
I went to school there.
That's where he did his musical theater course, and today we will be crossing the border again, so we're going from Canada to the US, and we are on our way home. While we were in the city of Toronto area, what did you do, Isaac?
I did a motorcycle course.
So back in May, he took a motorcycle course. Unfortunately, he had to repeat it. It's all good though, because this time around he was successful and he felt a lot more comfortable on the motorcycle, which was good. And are you looking forward to going back to school, Mr. Timbit? He's got his mouth full. He is. He was really kind. He bought Isaac an apple fritter. He bought himself some Timbits. Let's see your box of Timbits. Woohoo! And he bought me an extra large black steamed tea. So momentarily, like in about 51 kilometers, we will be crossing from Canada to the US through Windsor. We're going over the Ambassador Bridge. I'll share with what I can with that one. Today we're going into Michigan and we're going to go down to Kentucky. What are we going to do in Kentucky, Greg?
We're going to have an ARC experience.
We are going to the ARC experience and we're going to see the big Noah's Ark recreation down in Kentucky, and then from there we are going to head west and home. And I gotta say, after today's Wednesday, yesterday was 4 weeks pretty much on the road, living in hotel rooms, living at my parents' place. I'm looking forward to getting home and into my own bed. I did stop by a yarn store yesterday and I bought myself some Katona, some Shapeus Katona. This one is denim. I have a whole pile of Katona in the back. I also bought some fabric from the fabric store and I'll share that with you when I'm back home. I am making a wondrous dishcloth. So I started this morning and I'm working on that. I also have my 2nd Avenue wrap up here, a pair of vanilla socks, and my secret Nancy Drew test knit. So got lots to keep me busy. I think we're going to be 5 nights in hotels between now and when we get home. So hopefully I can get lots of knitting done. In the meantime, let's give you a view of coming into Windsor. I'm sorry to tell you, this drive, the drive from Toronto to Windsor, I just find it mind-numbing. I've always found it mind-numbing. There are lots of windmills around, which is nice, but it is a bit soul-destroying, this drive, I find. Anyway, we will cross the border and we will show you Michigan. Ohio and Kentucky today. Over this barrier and just those lights there, this is where St. Clair College is, where Isaac went to school for 3 years, and St. Clair College Drive there. And I think that's about all I can show you because we're down kind of in a bit of a gully. We are coming up on the bridge, the Ambassador Bridge, and the Ambassador Bridge, I believe, is the most traveled international crossing in North America, and it's a really big bridge too. We are coming up on the Ambassador Bridge. Remember I told you this is the most crossed bridge? See all these trucks? They are going to cross into the US, and you can see it's sort of like a turquoise bridge. It says Ambassador Bridge in red at the top, just straight in front of us. So anyway, I'm gonna put this away so I can help navigate through this busyness. They were doing some road work, so things have picked up a little bit. There is the Ambassador Bridge.
What lane?
Still lots of, stay in this one for now. Still lots of trucks. And we are going forward. Here is the entrance to the Ambassador Bridge. So we are going, here we've got to get over a couple of lanes. The Ambassador Bridge is just on the other side of those train tracks there. You can see it's like a blue bridge and it says Ambassador Bridge in red. There was some road construction. Anyway, we're going to get ahead and over to the left so that we can get in the correct lane. We are through and just about to go across the Ambassador Bridge here, and it's the Detroit River, I believe. Is that right, Isaac? Bless you, Nathaniel. I think it's the Detroit River. Here's the University of Windsor, and the playhouse that was part of the St. Clair College program is down here as well. So we went to see Isaac's musicals down here. And across the river is Detroit. Over there. I always like to joke that Caesar's Palace is over here, so Windsor Castle. Not quite the same thing as Windsor Castle in Britain, but Windsor, Ontario's castle is a casino. Anyway, here is the river and the Ambassador Bridge. I'm gonna put this away, have the Nexus cards out, and we are crossing from Canada to the United States. Just on the other side of this 2-lane highway. And there goes the Ambassador Bridge. We were across actually really quickly. Welcome to Michigan. I see no welcome to Michigan signs. I may have missed it when we were in the border area. We are
Left
in
or
the
right?
Straight. You're good. We are in the Detroit outskirts, a little south of Detroit, and heading southward towards Ohio and then Kentucky, but no signs to share with you at the moment, just lots of construction. This cloud in the sky looks like a whale, and it's even blowing some steam out back there now. I don't know what that one looks like. Maybe you can tell me. Apparently everyone else saw the welcome sign, but I was too busy putting the Nexus cards away, so I did not see it. And apparently we would have had to have turned the other way to go to the welcome center, and I didn't want to do that. Good news, I have just finished off Wondrous Dishcloth number 1. I have sewn in the ends, so I just need to do a little clip there and take off the little stitch marker. And so here's the scruffy side and then the stockinette side. The other good news is we are coming up on a state line change. So we are going from Michigan into Ohio, We are 0.4 miles from the state line. Try and remember that terminology today. And here we are, leaving Michigan and entering Ohio. Ohio, find it here. And we are entering Dayton. So good afternoon, Dayton, Ohio. We are here now, 2:44 p.m., coming up on Alexis Road. I made a mistake. I was thinking we were in Dayton. We drove into Toledo. We are on our way to Dayton. So we'll be going, oh, they've changed the direction. So we will get over one lane to the left, and we will be going towards Dayton and then towards Kentucky. Greg is just doing a routine maintenance check. He's checking oil. What else are you checking for?
Coolant.
Coolant? What else? Windshield wiper fluid we haven't really had to use today, so we just topped that up the other day.
Make sure that there's nothing leaking somewhere out of a hose.
Everything look good?
Yep.
That's
it's
good.
Just cooling down now.
And the tires are balanced?
So far as we can determine.
Okay, that looks like a good thing to do when you are on a very long road trip. I've lost count of how many states we've been in. How are you doing for the state count?
Well, I haven't been keeping as much track.
I think it was 12 on the way down, and then I think maybe it was 5 or 7, let's just say 6 on the way up. I think maybe 7 on the way back to Toronto, and now today we are already in 2. We are in Michigan, we're currently in Ohio, and we are about to go to where?
Kentucky.
Kentucky, where the grass is?
Green.
No, it's blue.
Oh.
Don't you know that?
Yes.
We are currently coming into Dayton, Ohio. Of course, we arrive right at rush hour, so it's 5:20 p.m., 27 degrees Celsius, which is nice and warm, although we have the air conditioning going in here. We took a very quick break at that last rest stop where I shared with you Greg and car maintenance, and I had bought some sandwiches earlier today, so we enjoyed some sandwiches just to tide us over. So we are going to be driving through Dayton, heading down the I-75 toward Cleveland, and then I think it's Cleveland, or Cincinnati, towards Cincinnati, where maybe we'll be able to pick up some WKRP, and we'll go around Cincinnati, and the state line to Kentucky is right about there. Are you going to look for flying turkeys when we're driving through Cincinnati?
Absolutely.
Yeah, make
Russ
sure.
Maspin might be on the job.
He might be. As we're driving along through Dayton, there was this billboard, and it had this really ugly engagement ring on it. And so we started talking about engagement rings, and we were talking about the wedding ring and the engagement ring. And what did you call it, Isaac, when you get a
ring kit?
A ring kit, a wedding kit.
Oh.
So did you know that you can get a ring kit for engagement and wedding?
You get 2 rings in one.
2 rings in one kit. I think that's maybe a good idea. You're onto something, eh?
They sell them as matching sets.
Not yet. Matching sets, but not yet. We are just driving through Cincinnati right now. So this is the current view, and we are coming up on the Ohio and Kentucky state line. So we'll cross the river, and that is where the states change. So a few more minutes, and we will see another sign welcoming us to another state. We are continuing on the I-75 going through Cincinnati. I see that the river is approaching fairly quickly. It's very hilly. through this city, but very, very pretty. Still so green. When we were in Toronto, some of the leaves were just starting to change. I meant to take a video of one of the trees at my parents' place that was starting to turn a bit red. Anyway, here is skyline, churches and steeples, industrial places. The university is around here somewhere too. We are now seeing Louisville and Lexington signs, meaning we are getting near to Kentucky. Seeing a skyline as well up ahead. So let's see when we get around the corner here. I can share with you a bit of the Cincinnati skyline. And of course, that's where WKRP, their head office is in there somewhere. I'm sure of it. Right, Greg? Herb Tarlick somewhere there wearing a leisure suit, trying to hit on Jennifer. Somewhere. And the ballpark stadium is around here too. Cincinnati Reds, I think, play here.
In 1/2 mile, keep right on I-75 south towards Louisville.
Louisville. I think it's Louisville, but she thinks it's Louisville. But she says weird names for lots of different roads and cities, so I don't believe her. Anyway, here is the Cincinnati skyline. And Louisville and Lexington.
Right on I-75 south towards Louisville now.
Straight ahead. I am looking for a bridge and a river because on this side we are in Ohio and on the other side we are in Kentucky. Very, very close. Kentucky Convention Center and the Newport Aquarium, I see, on the signs at least. And here we are. Wow. That's a really ornate building. And old bridges. There's lots of new structures, and I guess that's Red Stadium there. And here is the river. So, bye-bye Ohio. And let's look for a welcome sign to Kentucky. Lots of trucks, as always. On the GPS, it just changed to Kentucky. So I'm just looking for that welcome to Kentucky. Unbridled Spirit. I always thought it was something about bluegrass. So anyway, it's now Unbridled Spirit. There's another welcome to Kentucky. And here we are in our third state of the day. We ended up having an interesting thing happen when we arrived at the hotel. Greg had checked everything in the car earlier in the day, as you saw, which was fantastic. But when we got to the hotel, put all of our stuff in, we went out back to the car to go out for supper, and the car wouldn't start. Oh my goodness, that was definitely a very stressful thing having that happen. But the people in the area were so nice. Everyone in Kentucky was really, really nice, and they came over, took a quick look. They thought what it was that our battery might have had a bit of corrosion, and one of the men gave us a boost. He had the cables in his car, started up the car. Thankfully, there was an auto parts place just down the road, and it was still open, and the guy who worked there also thought that it was likely a a battery issue, and as suggested, we bought a wire brush and a little bit of a cloth, and we were able to get the car started, and my heart went back to normal. So that was a good thing, and again, the people in the area were just so kind, and the kindness of strangers, always a wonderful thing. So that was the end of our drive from Toronto to our hotel in Kentucky, and we are going to start off the next day in Kentucky and at the destination that Greg had been really looking forward to getting to. So we will go there now. I'm feeling like we've just pulled into the parking lot at Wally Worlds. We didn't park the farthest spot away, but it is fairly empty so far. It's really early in the morning actually, but we've come to the Ark Experience, which is the recreated Noah's Ark, and there it is up on the hill. So it is quite large, and we're a distance away. We've got to go through the lines there. We're not completely empty here, but anyway, this is Greg's Wally World. Here is the Noah's Ark Experience, or Encounter. Ark Encounter. I've been corrected.
Well, we're here at the Ark Experience.
Ark Encounter.
Yes, the Ark Encounter, and I'll sure know a whole lot more after I visit the Ark that Noah built over hundreds of years. And this replica shows what it was like. So we're going to tour 3 decks.
Yeah, so people of course are taking their photographs. It's actually it's a couple days after Labor Day weekend, so not a whole lot of kids here, lots of seniors, but anyway, we had to take a bus to get here. This looks huge. I'm a bit of a distance away. Are you all ready, Greg?
Yep, we're ready to go into the Ark.
This one's ready here too. Nathaniel is getting ready. And me? I have some knitting as I walk through. We are just walking to the entrance, and just to give you an idea, here are the boy and the man. The little boy behind me is there, but this is raised up and goes up. Look at that blue sky. Goes up, up, up. Here's Nathaniel. Tiny people compared to this. Huge pieces of wood.
You want to read that?
And we are at the Ark entrance. The entrance is actually quite nice in here. They've got some beautiful flowers. They have zip lining here as well. We are not going to be zip lining. We're going to take a tour through and then head to our location in Illinois tonight. But this is kind of pretty. It looks very lush through here. But we're going to go inside, take a tour, and then head northwest. Imagining what it must be like here on a busy summer day, because all these lines, it's like Disney World lineups, but empty. But I can imagine on a summer day, lots of families would be here lined up. And here are the ramps to go up into the Ark. This is what it's like in the basement of the float house, so don't be bad. Stormy. I'm saying this is what it's like in the basement of the float house.
That's right, basement of the float house.
Greg, Nathaniel, and Isaac are looking at the cages that animals were kept in, and I'm just right in the middle, looking up at this structure and sort of walking around knitting a few rounds of my sock. I'm very relieved to see that there were restrooms on the Ark because I'm a little bit concerned about how smelly it would have been. So there are definitely restrooms and emergency exits. I know, I'm just being silly. But, you know, flush toilets at a place like this, important for me. Here is Greg in front of the Ark. What did you think of that, Greg? The Ark encounter. Did you enjoy it?
You want to put me on the spot on camera?
Yeah, you're on the spot on camera. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, overall it's good.
I liked the part where they talked about how they built this because it was really quite interesting, all of the wood that they used. And it took them 2 years from when they broke ground to when they opened it. So it's really quite a huge undertaking for sure. Anyway, better than Disney World? That's definitely putting you on the spot,
Yeah.
isn't it? We can't answer that one.
Well, you can say Disney
different.
World was more entertaining.
Yeah,
You
and
know, you can say that.
yeah, and the thing about Disney World is, I mean, they've taken a few of the elements, like the refillable cups, and they have lots of sort of marketing elements that they've taken. Anyway, that is the Ark encounter for now.
Going on the carousel. Let me go on the...
Going on the carousel. There is a carousel. I want to ride the rabbit. I just want to ride the rabbit. And Nathaniel's excited too. Nathaniel is on a pterodactyl. He's waving. Greg, you are on a deer. I'm on the rabbit, and there's even seat belts here. And Isaac, what are you on? I think his is some sort of prehistoric. Climbing this in flip-flops. That's where I couldn't even find my feet. Climbing this in flip-flops was very scary. Anyway, we're gonna go around. Enjoy the ride,
Mr.
Greg.
Roper.
Mr. Roper on Three's Company.
Yeah, he's like this. But I bet he didn't ride a deer.
Down. You wish he chose one that went up and down, Isaac?
Yeah, he didn't get the one that goes up and down.
Nathaniel's way over there. So,
Building up
better than Space Mountain?
Building up speed.
Yeah. Anyway, we are on the animal carousel that I was riding in it. I had to climb in that in my flip-flops.
That was
Pretty good on motorcycle thingies.
Yeah, just like
handles
riding.
like a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Here is the carousel. It handles like a motorcycle. An elephant here handles like a motorcycle. Giraffe, perhaps?
The thing I drove was
Oh, okay.
has handles like a motorcycle.
Oh, okay. I think the thing, I was on the big tall bird or bunny, and when it landed, it was really high. We are just in Kentucky, getting near to Cincinnati again. So we will be crossing from Kentucky back into Ohio, and then I think we're going into Indiana and then Illinois today. So a 4-state day. We will be crossing a time change as well as several state lines. While we were at lunch, Greg was checking his iPad, and we saw the news that Queen Elizabeth passed away. And strange having to process that. I'm not sure how much we'll hear about that on the news in the US. In Canada, we would hear quite a bit of it, but I guess we'll hear local news and see what's said. But definitely a very sad thing to hear. Anyway, we'll be getting on the road soon. We'll be topping up the gas, and then, as I said, crossing state lines and time change, which I will try to capture all of those on the camera. We are just topping up the gas and still in Kentucky, and look who I saw. Colonel Sanders. We are in Kentucky, but sad to say we will not be visiting the Colonel right now. KFC will have to do without us. We'll be leaving Kentucky soon as well, but there he is. See ya, Colonel, but not today. We are coming up on the state line, which will be a river again, and then we will be going straight into Indiana, and today we'll be heading towards Indianapolis, Indiana, so leaving Kentucky, and the state lines for Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio are all very, very close together, and just probably within half a kilometer, maybe even a quarter kilometer in the river. And I'll show you on here. You can see the state line is here and here. So, whoops, here and here. So there's the 3 states.
Something's
and
hitting.
we're there.
The beepers are on.
Oh, sorry, I hit the hazards by accident. I hit the hazards. Okay, so we are coming up on the bridge and the Ohio River. Here is the bridge, and just over there is Cleveland, Ohio, and behind us, Kentucky, and we are now entering Indiana, which is that way. So, as I was showing you on here, 3 states very close together, a little triangle. So welcome to Indiana. I've lost count of how many states that we have visited. I'm going to have to sit down and do all the math. But oh, did we see a welcome to Indiana sign yet? I don't think so. There it is, right there. Indiana. Welcome to Indiana, crossroads of America and Lincoln's boyhood home. So here we are in Indiana. And first glimpses. I just missed another state line. We are back in Ohio. I looked up and there was a welcome to Ohio. We're just sort of going alongside the line again and over a bit as we head a bit more north. But we will be going back, I believe, into Indiana, and then later on today we'll be going into Illinois. But I missed it. I wasn't expecting a state line. Oh, not on the ball. Just to show you what we are doing. So we crossed the state line back into Ohio, and we went around. We are now going up to the 74. We'll do a little loopy around, and then we will get back and cross the state line again. So right now, heading east, which seems kind of counterintuitive to going to the west coast, but we are going to roundabout on the next highway, heading northwest and back into Indiana. Hopefully I will catch that state line again, but like I said, wasn't expecting to be doing that extra state. Let's do this again. Indiana state line, take 2, or Indiana state line, deja vu, whatever you want to call it. We are coming up on the Ohio to Indiana state line, as compared to the last time we crossed was the Kentucky to Indiana state line. And I have looked ahead on the sat-nav, and I see no other states popping their way into our route very quickly between now and Illinois, because our ultimate nighttime destination today is in the state of Illinois. I'm not sure when we will get to the time change, but we will be having one of those as well sometime today. So we are just approaching state line now. There's not a definitive river or anything that differentiates one state from the other. just right there, Indiana state line over to the left. And there's a way station, which is something we notice in a lot of the states when we cross. They've got the way station, sometimes they have a boat check, stuff like that. Now we did see that other Welcome to Indiana sign. I don't seem to see one along here other than that state line green sign that we saw. There does not seem to be a big welcome sign saying childhood play place of Abraham Lincoln. I think that was what it said before. So, kind of a bit anticlimactic, I would say. I just thought I would give you a bit of landscape right now, where yesterday when we were in Kentucky I could see some rolling hills happening. Now that we are in Indiana, I'm starting to see things getting a little bit flatter. There are still some hills, but things are starting to even out, a little bit more prairie-like. Lots of cornfields, and definitely very rural areas where we are now. We will be going around Indianapolis today, and we'll be driving south of Chicago. And as I am doing that drive south of Chicago, I need to make sure I do a little wave to Letitia, who I chatter with on Instagram sometimes, and I always love seeing her horse pictures. Anyway, this is Indiana, and it's starting to feel like we're getting close to the prairies. We are still in Indiana, and lots of corn, and the land is getting flatter. We are approaching the state line to go into Illinois in a few moments. So we're just chugging along nicely. And it's been a very green drive, lots of fields, and the trees still right now are very, very green. And we are, as I said, coming up to the Indiana and Illinois state line. So we will look for our signs. There's 1 mile left to go. And on the other side, we have an exit which has a Shell station. I don't know what that place is. State Line Tavern and Town Place Suites.
That's where we're going.
We're going to pull off, and I'm going to switch over to do a bit of driving, because Greg's been driving for the majority of the day today, especially after our walk around the Arc. So here we are. We had some construction a little bit back. Looks like we're going into maybe a bit of construction. Maybe the end of construction. Not really sure. And we are just about crossing that line. Here we are. Goodbye, Indiana. Hello, Illinois. And there's the state line. Here's the welcome sign. Welcome to Illinois.
Is this it?
The land of Lincoln. Yeah, we'll get off here, and I will switch over and drive in Illinois. Good morning. I think it's Friday. Hard to say, really. We are just driving into Peoria, which is in Illinois, and we've all had, I think, a fairly good night's sleep. Did you guys have a good night's sleep?
Yes.
Have a good night's sleep?
Yeah.
Good. We are driving into Peoria on our way to Wacoma, South Dakota today. So we will be traveling about 10 hours today, crossing a few state lines. No time changes. I forgot to mention when we drove across into the Illinois, across the state line. Here's a pretty river, by the way. That we did have the time change happen. So we are now in Central Daylight Savings Time, and 9:44 a.m. right now. It's very pretty here. And today I'm guessing we are going to see lots of plains because we are now in the Great Plains area once we're through the city. And yeah, it's gonna hopefully get lots of knitting done too. Well, on with the drive. Isaac, we are a little under 2 miles from the next state line. How are you gonna know we crossed the state line?
Big river.
There's a big river. What is it called? Hey, Nathaniel, can you spell the big river we're gonna cross?
MISSISSIPPI.
Excellent. Can you do it, Isaac?
You just did it, so.
No, you try now.
No. Because I'm
Okay,
tired.
spell Mississippi.
No.
Try.
No. Stop. It was so fast. He did it. No.
He did, yeah, because he trained, he practiced. So try.
Yeah, no,
One try.
I don't want to try.
Mississippi. How do you spell it?
No. This is not spelling bee class.
Oh, you're no fun. Anyway, we are just about to leave Illinois and heading into Iowa. And we are very, very close to the MISSISSIPPI, the Mississippi that Isaac refuses to try and spell. And Isaac can see it on the screen here. So we are coming up and we've crossed it once this trip. We're gonna cross back again. And I think Isaac's gonna be he wasn't with us when we crossed before. You have seen the Mississippi, Isaac,
I wasn't trying.
when you were about 1.5 years old. But we are coming up on the Mississippi, and oh, there it is right there. It's not as wide as it was down farther south, but here we are leaving Illinois, crossing the Mississippi River, and going into Iowa. So, a very different looking river. It's still wide, but it seems that it was a lot faster and a lot wider when we were in Mississippi. So here is the mighty Mississippi up farther north, and we have just left Illinois. And let's look for that welcome sign. I hope I didn't miss it. I don't think so. Usually they don't put them on the bridges. You never know. Yesterday I missed the Ohio sign that was right above my head, but I didn't have the camera ready. Speed limit 65. Trucks in the way. 2 trucks in the way. There we are. Here it is on the right. The people of Iowa welcome you. Fields of opportunities and lots of cornfields around. So welcome to Iowa. Today we are going to be going across Iowa, and then we will be going up along the state line between Iowa and Nebraska, but staying on the Iowa side before we cross on our way to, where are we going again? Wacoma. All I could think of was Joaquin, not glaucoma. Anyway, new state, second state of the day. We are just at a rest station in Iowa, and the boys have all run to the bathroom to have their little rest break, and I just thought I would quickly show you around. There's cornfields behind this rest station, and fields as far as I can see, although we are on a bypass around Rapid City. Anyway, Nathaniel thought this was a nice looking rest station. Very interesting, definitely. And little playground always good to have a bit of movement, stretch those legs, but my gosh, these long days, you get out of the car and really feel cricky-cracky. Just noticing that the flag is at half-mast to honor Queen Elizabeth. It's nice to get out of the car, and sometimes I feel like all I do is film in the car, but we're currently in the rest station, and here's the woman from American Gothic. Here's American Gothic here, actually. And the man is just over there on the men's side. So women's bathroom, men's bathroom, American Gothic. But there's this map of the US, and it's kind of nice to see it. And Isaac, do you want to show where we've gone from Toronto?
We've gone from Toronto, which is around here, and gone all the way down through to Windsor.
Yeah.
Across to Detroit.
Yeah.
And then we went down to
Through Ohio.
We went through Ohio downwards
Yeah, to Kentucky. Right
and we
there.
were about like
Around there,
Town.
yeah. And then we went, yesterday was kind of confusing because we went up here, crossed into Indiana, but then we had to go back into Ohio to go back into Indiana. And then we went across Indiana to Illinois. Today we have gone into Iowa and crossed the Mississippi, and the Mississippi is the state line for many of these states. Remember when we crossed way back when, Louisiana to Mississippi? The Mississippi was along that state line. So we are now in Iowa.
In Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, so we're going around to Cedar Rapids. We are going to go up along the state line between Nebraska and Iowa, but we're going to stay in Iowa. And then we're going to go into South Dakota, and we're going to stay in Waukoma tonight. And then tomorrow, we are going to drive South Dakota, a little touch of Wyoming. We've been there before at the beginning of our trip. Touch of Wyoming, and then up into Montana, across Idaho, a little piece of it, Washington, and then back up into the Vancouver area. So here is our map of the US, and can you hold the camera? Let me just see how many states I can count that we've been in. So
This is U.S.
1,
geography.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I thought there were 12 on the way down. Okay, we'll say 11. Just oh, we did a little bit of Oregon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, through a little piece of Oklahoma, through Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, a little bit of Alabama, and then to Florida. So that was 12. On the way home, we were Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia. We didn't get to Ohio. We went through Pennsylvania, New York, and home. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 12 plus 8, 20. And now we have done, we went through Michigan. So 1, Ohio, 2, 3, we're not counting Ohio again, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 states home. So I'll have to count how many different states that was total, because I've sort of mixed and matched and done repeats as well. But anyway, a big version to make things a little bit more clear. So I just counted 27 states total this summer, not including the doubles. So the doubles will be Washington, Idaho, Ohio got doubled, and Wyoming. And yeah, that's a trip for sure. We are just in the back of the rest station. I am wanting Oh, there's a plane that's landing. We're not sure why. Oh, and a grasshopper that's grassing. Woo! Jumping. Anyway, I'm thinking like my children, I should just let them free and run through the corn. Would you like to do that? Children of the corn. No. Probably not a good thing, but I'm just sort of feeling like it would be fun to just run through the cornfields, but there's probably snakes and other critters.
Like that.
Yeah, anyway, like this grasshopper down there. Well, he will hop if I get a little closer to him, or not. I don't want to get too close. Last little bits of flowers before snow sets in. Anyway, lovely rest station, good to stretch our legs, nice to see the map, and oh my gosh, a cob of corn would taste so good right now. We just stopped for gas, and as we were restarting the car, Nathaniel looked at the screen, and it was a little bit sideways at the time, and he said, look how close we are to the state line. And I was thinking it was a little west of us, but in fact it's north of us, and it's not the state line I thought it was going to be. This is actually the Minnesota state line that we are coming up to, so we're getting another state thrown in there. So Isaac and I were looking at the USA map earlier, and I didn't actually realize we would be going into Minnesota, even if it's just for a brief amount of time, but apparently we are. So it will be coming up in a few moments, and we'll look on our right here for that Minnesota welcome sign, which is within the mile. Bless you. There's a Minnesota rest area in 2 miles, which means that we are less than a mile, which I just said. And yeah, I was surprised. I didn't realize that we would be leaving Iowa and heading into Minnesota before getting into South Dakota. Geography. Sometimes it's a bit confounding. It has really gotten gray, and feeling the dampness in the air. It was 28 degrees earlier this morning, around 10, 11 o'clock, and it is now 18 degrees Celsius, so chilled down considerably. Okay, I'm thinking that this sign on the bridge is perhaps our Minnesota welcome sign, or it's just the rest area, because we are, I think, at this bridge crossing over the state line. So here we are, Iowa, and now Minnesota. So welcome to Minnesota. Here we are. There's the sign over to the right, and Minnesota welcomes you. And there's the rest station. Isaac has been to Minnesota before, but Nathaniel has not. I was thinking that today we would be driving along the bottom here and then up alongside here on the 29 between Iowa and Nebraska, but the sat-nav had us going here and then up 35, which is why we've now crossed into Minnesota. Where's my finger? Right there. So we crossed into Minnesota, and we're now going across the I-90 to Sioux Falls, right here, and then that's when we'll get across into South Dakota area. So that is why I was a little bit surprised, because I was thinking we were going here and up, but in fact the car sat-nav took us up and across. So sometimes looking at the map on the Apple is a little bit different than the options given on this version, but sometimes there's some nice surprises in there too. So Minnesota adds our state count and puts it up to, I think, 29 now. Just commenting to Greg about how most of our trip has actually been under fair skies, and we've actually very rarely had to deal with rain. A little bit in Florida, and heavy rains at that. We just had a bit of a downpour, but most of the time the windshield wipers have not been on. So the sunny skies have dissipated for now, but I'm sure they'll be back probably tomorrow. But maybe even later today, it's always possible. Just looking at the scenery here in Minnesota. We're now on the I-90 traveling west towards South Dakota. And while we were going through Illinois and Iowa, I was noticing a lot of cornfields. And then as we were getting to the northwestern section of Iowa, I was noticing a little bit more livestock. So in particular, cattle. Oh, my brain is getting tired. I was thinking of horses as well when I said cattle. Anyway, a little bit of cattle, a few horse farms as well. And now I'm noticing that the fields are starting to roll a little bit more. In Iowa, the fields were a little bit rolly as well. We're back in some cornfields here. But more of a mixture of the different types of agriculture, the livestock, and also the corn in particular, more than most crops. Yeah, my brain is shutting down now. It's been a long few days. Actually back into more flat land with lots of crops, lots of corn, maybe some alfalfa here as well, and a little bit more rain in the distance. Looks like the sky is lightening up as well. Certainly you can see for miles and miles, and all the little trees surrounding the homesteads, and in between, a lot of corn. Last year as we drove through the prairies, I commented on the telephone lines, and Greg just pointed out these telephone lines, and he says they're good and sturdy. They're definitely very tall, so when the snow comes down, you shouldn't lose them. And where a lot of the Canadian ones were made of wood and some of them were braced, these are full metal, and then they even go down. There's the wooden ones going down to farms. But I'm guessing telephone and electricity are going along these lines and keeping those lines really, really high up and off the ground. I have been working on my second wondrous dishcloth, and I made a little bit of a boo-boo here. I've got an extra same row here, but oh well. Just in the process of grafting. Right now I've got my needle attached. Where's my needle? There's my needle. And just grafting those stitches off, and then I will have 2 of the blue denim Katona wondrous dishcloths done. So lots of places have the windmills, and there are a few states that didn't have them, but a lot of these prairie states do have the windmills, and I think we noticed quite a few in Wyoming, right, Greg? And then I think there may have been some in Florida, but I don't know if you can see just miles and miles. There we are, a little bit higher. As far as the eye can see, we're at a really flat spot here. And just the amount of windmills that they have here is just amazing. passing quite a few of these windmills, and we were closer a few moments ago. And one thing Greg noticed is at the base of several of the windmills, there they are, there are new propellers. So I don't know whether they're switching them out or maybe they've already switched them out, but there are propellers at the base of several. You can just see the tops of that one. I don't know whether they're putting shorter ones in, more effective ones. Not sure. Anyway, looks like they're doing the whole, a lot of the ones all around the field. They've got a crane out in the middle of the field by one of the windmills that stopped. So I guess they are doing some sort of switching out process, something a little bit more efficient, perhaps. We are just coming up on the Minnesota-South Dakota line, and over to the side here is a windmill, and they've taken the arms off. They've got a crane there, and they are doing some work. But look how much those arms span. Huge. And looks like they're going to be building a couple of more windmills over there too. Anyway, we are coming up on that line. We are less than a mile. We're kind of going into oncoming traffic because they've been doing some road work. But we will be switching back to our side of the highway. So Minnesota here, and I'm guessing that as we switch over to the other side of the highway, this is probably the actual state line here. And we are now in South Dakota. So state law, seatbelt use required, Minnehaha County, and here comes our South Dakota welcome sign. Oh goodness, there is one of those arms on a huge truck, but there's the South Dakota sign. Welcome to South Dakota, great faces, great spaces, but seeing that arm of that windmill was pretty amazing over at that rest stop. That took a huge truck, and looks like they might be bringing another one. There we are across the highway. They've got another one of those windmill arms. So lots of windmill action happening on the state line. Anyway, welcome to South Dakota, and excitement with things that trucks carry. Just passing Marmon Energy, and I think these here are all pieces that will go to build windmills. So very large. I saw very briefly they were loading one of those on a truck. I'm not sure if you'll see it in the video when we put this up. So here we are in South Dakota, and it is approaching 5:20 p.m. They are working on the other side of the highway like they were in the other side of Minnesota. So we are now currently in a 2-lane highway situation. We are starting to get more rolling hills, so the landscape is changing. There are some cornfields. I've seen some cattle, and I even saw a field that had bison in it, so domesticated bison. These are cattle over there. I'm hoping though, while we are in South Dakota, that I might be able to capture some bison on film. I don't think I'll see any wild bison, but some domesticated bison would be a lot of fun. Starting to remind me of when we were driving through Wyoming and those hills and the colors we saw there. It is, as I said, just 20 after 5, and it is starting to get a bit darker at the end of the day as we head closer to autumn. And of course, with the movement west. We are going through the time changes. Oh, up on the hill there's a large horse frame, and there's also a steer frame up on that hill there. Not sure what that's about. I think they are, for people driving the other way, they are, sculptures. I was thinking they were more flat, but they are sculptured.
See, there's all these sculptures. There's small ones there too.
So a sculpture park. Anyway, we continue, and we are less than 2 hours away from our night stop. And tomorrow will be a fresh day where I'll be able to bring you a little bit more from South Dakota. There was just a sign that said home of Laura Ingalls Wilder, who is the author of Little House on the Prairie, and of course the main character from the Little House on the Prairie series. But I'm not sure where her home was. These are regular domestic cattle. For a little house on the prairie here somewhere amongst all of these fields. We still are very much in prairie land, although there are spots that are a little bit different. Here we are, so DeSmet, home of Laura Ingalls Wilder, at exit 350. And I'm sure they have a museum there of some sort. But it is coming up at this next exit. So if you were a fan, that would be something. Another thing that happens on the highways here, we have the sheriff keeping an eye on people's speeds. We are in an 80 zone, 80 miles an hour zone again. And here is the exit. I don't know if that's the Little House on the Prairie just at the top there, or whether it's down the road. Not sure, but somewhere down the way, off at a rest station, and there's a little church just off of the highway at the rest station. So you can have a nice little picnic, and then there's a little church there. Maybe go get married if you've got a moment. Just stopping for a moment here, and then we'll be back on the road. It's a small one. Exercise, yeah. We're just coming over the rise, nearing our hotel, and I could just see that this view looked spectacular from behind the bridge, and I wanted to share it. So there is a lake here, and let's see if I can find out. No, it's a river actually. Oh, there's a. So here is River Bridge. This is Chamberlain, and it really looks like we have a differentiation in land between this river and this side of the river. So a couple people in the middle having a little row. But definitely a very different look to the other side. We are looking forward to getting nearer to the hotel because we do need to top up with gas. I think it's just over there on the other side there. But well, fishing time, that's what it is. People are out there having a little fish. Anyway, we are getting nearer, and I wanted to share a little bit of landscape. The river that we just saw was the Missouri River, but I wanted to point out, and I was actually hoping to point it out as we were on the highway, but I didn't have the camera ready. If you can see, there is a road closed and a drop down. So in the winter time, they drop that down so that people can't go on the highway. And we just came off this exit here, and there is a drop down, and it basically says, you know, when the sign is flashing that the road is closed and you must exit here. And this is the boys were all very excited when they saw where we are near. This is a very interesting looking western town, but I did want to point out that once the snow starts coming down, you got to be ready to crash somewhere local because you don't want to go on the highway. We've been seeing signs for Al's Oasis. So here we are. There's this Old West trading post here. So off the highway, this looks really quite unique around here. But we're coming up to a place called Al's. There's also Oasis Campground. So Al's Oasis kind of reminds me
Your destination is ahead.
of, oh, there's even a big bison thing on the side of the road here. Not real. It kind of reminds me of Honest Ed's in Toronto, where it's a real interesting, it's a casino, a general store, a mercantile. You're going past the place because it's right there, Greg. And there's the buffalo right there. We've been seeing signs for this Al's Oasis all the way down the highway. There is a casino here, a saloon here, there is a general store, there's a campground down the street. It looks really very interesting. 5-cent coffee apparently. Looks very, very western, so maybe we will go and take a gander. Greg's just checking us in, which our hotel is actually right next to Al's Oasis. But it is definitely a very interesting building, and kind of reminds me of in Toronto, there used to be Ed's Warehouse, or Honest Ed's, and Honest Ed's was a very big eclectic store, and this kind of reminds me of that sort of vibe. So it's got a saloon, a restaurant, a trading post, a mercantile, a general store, and as I mentioned, a casino. And across the street we have a couple of bison here, and if I get a little high enough, I don't want to cross the highway at this point, but the Missouri River is just on the other side of the highway as well. So we just crossed the Missouri River, and current view. So bison, a couple of baby bison, and a really interesting place to maybe check out. It has definitely been a very, very long travel day for us as we traveled from the Toronto area down through Windsor into Detroit. We crossed an international border, drove down to Kentucky, and then across to South Dakota. So let's get out of the car for a little bit. Let's stretch our legs, stretch our arms. I hope that you enjoyed the journey as we drove today. I am going to suggest that perhaps you take a little break, go over to Al's Oasis, grab yourself something to eat, mosey on through the store and take a little look around. And we'll come back in a couple of days to continue the rest of the journey from South Dakota to the Vancouver area. But for today, October 28th, I am wishing you, it's not even a day, a lovely evening, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for Vlogtober day 29, when I will have to put the lipstick on again because I'm going to a party. I need to find a cape though, that's what I need to do. Not a superhero cape, a vampire cape. See you tomorrow. Bye. He's not running through. I didn't quite catch it. He's not running through the corn, but he is running through the fields and needs a bit of a stretch. Are you flying or running?
Both.
Both, okay.